Issa Michael Farhoud. Come forward, please. He's from Bethlehem, and I don't mean Pennsylvania. Palestine, graphic design, Alpha Chi, leadership scholar, who's who, presidential ambassador, and on all sorts of things. Matter of fact, come on up here. I've got something for you. Last week when we had our awards day and we got all the senior presidential ambassadors up on stage, guess what? We forgot one. Here it is. Congratulations.
Thank you.
As you know, some of us are going to the Holy Land in about a week and a half, and we're going to see his parents, and we're going to tell them exactly how he did. I have some stories. Issa, go for it, my friend.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Good like this? Too short. Good evening. As a Chowan University Senior Presidential Ambassador, it's now my pleasure to say, Go Hawks! I want to start by congratulating the Chowan University the class of 2016. We made it, guys. Come on, let's give ourselves a hand. First, I want to tell you all a story about a child who grew up in a war. Every day was a struggle, but on this particular day, the child and his family decided to take a drive. And suddenly, they were stopped by opponent soldiers who pointed their guns at the family for no reason. The child and his family were horrified and didn't know what to do. While they were stopped, the mother was screaming and begging for mercy. With the child in the back seat, he noticed that his mother was holding something in her hand. With so much going on, it was hard to detect what she was holding. After 5 minutes of screaming and pleading with the soldiers, they finally let the family go. The mother continued to pray and began to calm down. And at this point, the child realized what the mother was holding. And it just so happened to be a cross. It was only at this time that the child knew it was the grace of God who kept the family safe from harm. As I mentioned before, the child experienced many hard times when he was growing up. One thing that put his mind to ease was the sound of his mother breathing at night. The calming rhythm of the sound made it easier for the child to sleep at night. This was a child with a very imaginative mind. He had hopes and dreams of traveling afar, but he was not offered many opportunities to do so. However, when one specific opportunity came for him to travel, he was told by someone very close to him, "You are like a fish. If you leave your place, you will never survive." Everyone's childhood is different, and everyone has their own story to tell, and that was my story. However, it's still being written because there is much more that I want to achieve in my life. I am Issa Michael Hannah Farhoud, one of 4 children who were born to Michael and Iman Farhoud and living in a small town near Bethlehem, the Holy Land, with our Aunt Lillian Farhoud, who has been and still is a big part of our lives. Growing up was hard, but the number one thing that kept me pushing is my parents' famous quote, Inshallah, which translates to whatever God wants will happen. In this case, God wanted me to go to Chowan, and I know that because in the summer of 2013, I was offered the opportunity to travel, study, and experience the world. When I arrived to Chowan, the feeling of fear immediately came over me. I thought my relative was right about me not being able to survive outside of my original surroundings. I was so homesick to the point where I was calling my mother almost every hour to ask her if Chowan even existed at all. I remember one day I asked her to find out what is the official language of North Carolina because in the first 2 weeks I had no clue what others were talking about. But when I got used to hear it, it turned out to be English with a southern accent. When it was finally time for me to return back home for the summer, I looked around and began to realize how God has truly blessed me to have been given such a great opportunity to study abroad, to better myself, to overcome my fears, to achieve my goals, and to meet so many wonderful people who had more faith in my future than I originally did when I first came to Chowan, and that is what has helped me get through my years here. When I returned to school, I didn't come empty-handed. With me, I had a piece of advice from my father, and he said to me, in order for you to reach the top of the mountain, you should start from the bottom and take it step by step. This advice was an eye-opener for me and allowed me to push myself even harder to be where I'm standing today. As I conclude this speech, I want to give you all a piece of advice from myself. Do not let your past or what anyone else thinks about you determine your future, because only God can determine that. As an example, my mother, in the story that I mentioned before, is a Palestinian woman who was holding a peaceful cross while praying and was nearly gunned down by the opponent soldiers for no reason at all. So allow me to ask you, who is the real terrorist here? People look at me and assume that I'm a terrorist because of the simple fact that I'm Arab. But despite what anyone thinks, I will never let that get in the way of whatever plans I have for myself. Professors, I'm sure there are days that cause you to question if any of your work is making a difference to your students. I want to assure you in this day of your vast power of influence. I can remember things that teachers have said to me dating back when I first came to college. I know I'm not alone in that regard either. Everything you say and do affects your students, and that makes your job one of the most important jobs in the world. There are some people in life that make you smile a little bigger and live a little better. And two of them are actually sitting here with us today, Dr. and Mrs. White. Knowing that you care about me has given me extra confidence in everything I do. You probably didn't realize you had such powers, but please know that you truly make a difference in my life. Thank you for the great opportunity in every way. Your example inspires me to become all that I can be. I would like to thank my family back home for being the reason behind my success and for the person I am today, because it's all their hard work, and my job now is to make them proud. I would like to thank my African mother, Jilawuni, for being on my side in the whole Chowan journey. My American sister and my superstar, Alexius Brandveen, for always being there for me. My American brother, Drew Phillips, for always being a big supporter, and everyone who helped me get through the journey successfully. Finally, I would like to thank everybody here for taking the time to listen to my story, and I wish you all nothing but the best for the plans that you have for your future. Class of 2016, we finally made it. Thank you.